Hey guys, I am John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. Two amazing science fiction fantasy novels for you guys on Amazon, Smashwords, or right here on YouTube as audiobooks. But you can buy the paperbacks or the ebooks if you like. Today, we are out here with this Conan King Size Special number 1. And please notice the cover. This was 1973. This is the one we looked at yesterday from 1983, also by Barry Smith. And the back cover is a reprint with a different colored sky of this 1973 King Size Annual. And the story in here is magnificent. This is one of the famous stories. I don't believe it says which one it's adapted from. I'm going to look really quick. It's nominated for Best Story. This is, again, the Conan King Size number 1. This is the annual. It's nominated for Best Story, The Lair of the Beastmen. I don't know. This is obviously an adapted from Robert E. Howard because this story is in the Conan's books over and over again. I swear to God, I've seen several artists do it. This is the one where a young Conan who's small, he's not the full-sized adult Conan, gets captured because Conan gets captured every time. And this one he leads a slave revolt against the Hyperborean masters. In this one they're drawn like apes. He kills this sort of frost giant ape, this sort of winter ape, this snow ape. And in this story, the snow apes take him hostage, take him captive, not hostage, take him prisoner. So he's just killed that snow giant, and this girl sees him, and he sees her. Now this is a lot like the Lair of the Frost Giant's daughter, where he chases the girl into her brothers, and her brothers try to kill him, and he kills them. In this one, he chases her to the gates of her sort of tribal enclave village, whatever it is, and is attacked by these guards who subdue him, knock him out, and throw him in prison. So it starts with a girl, and then we get him dragged off to the slave pens. There's some argument about whether or not they're going to show him to their commanding officer, and they decide not to. But yeah, this here they hold him overhead. This is all Barry Smith. What I really like about this story is the story. The art is magnificent. Here's their flashback, the mandatory flashback. The art is magnificent, but what's great about this story is this character here, this redhead. They did this even in the Rolf Moeller Conan TV show. I think it was episode number 1. It didn't work in there because Rolf Moeller was huge. And it makes sense for a giant to say, I'm not going to be a slave. In this, though, Conan stands up for himself when these people won't. And this guy, this redhead down here at the bottom, this guy's twice the size of Conan. He's probably he's probably not bigger than Conan is as an adult, but he's at least as powerful. And he is a cuck. He is a slave. And this brings me to something I witnessed last night. And I think I myself may have been being trolled, so I didn't engage. As a member of the chat, we can sort of dip in and out. If you fight with the chat, you end up losing, especially if let me explain what happened. First, let's do this. So this is the flashback where these guys talk about how the current rulers came to rule over them and came to run them as slaves. Conan's like, you guys are all a bunch of cowards. I would never be a slave for these people. These people are shit. These people are garbage. You can't be slaves to them. And there's a lot, So yeah, Conan is like, this is garbage. You can't be slaves to these people. How dare you? And there is a bit where, yeah, so they take his helmet. They didn't take his helmet out in the field. And I remember thinking to myself, dude, they let him keep his helmet? And then, of course, one of them says, I want that helmet. And as soon as he takes it, Conan throws his chains around his neck and tries to choke him out, but gets knocked off, gets knocked out. I think he even gets a net thrown over him. Maybe that's later. But they decide that they're not going to use him as a slave, that they're going to use him in the fight arena, the gladiator pits. They don't call it that. What do they call it? It doesn't matter. Anyhow, in the middle of the night, that big red-headed guy comes and gives Conan an obsidian knife that he was saving to cut his own throat. And he suggests that Conan take it and kill himself instead. And Conan's like, you piece of shit. He basically calls him out. He says, I'm not going to kill myself. I'll come to a better use for this. Go away now, essentially is what he says. And the red-headed dude does. He goes away as a slave. And the next day they watch Conan be dragged out to the arena where he's going to fight for all these ape men. And he's not going to fight another slave. They put him up against a snow lion. Now, it would have been interesting to make it a snow leopard, but a white lion is still, whatever. It's Conan versus a lion, and he has a knife. And we all know what Tarzan can do to a lion with a knife. It's all about standing your ground. The lion doesn't want to die. But what choice does it have? So he attacks Conan. There's one panel down here where he bites his arm. And then Conan is able to shut his mouth, pushing forward on his neck. And he does get, I almost said Tarzan a couple times. I'm so used to watching Tarzan fight lions. And so now this is important. This was in the Tarzan comic too that John Buscema did. If a lion can push you back and arch you up and bring his legs up to your stomach, you're done. His back legs. Because I've seen rabbits do this too. If you're playing with a rabbit and like cats, you know how you can have your hand up by a cat's face and cats do the same thing. He'll roll over and grab on with his top paws and then take his bottom paws and just shred the bottom of your arm, and that's to rip out your stomach. So if Conan hadn't turned, this turn right here where he's arched up and backwards with the lion, and you can see his body is already turning, otherwise his guts would have been ripped out onto the pit of the arena. And then he gets the lion's back and is able to drive his knife into its skull. Take the back, just like jiu-jitsu practice, just like wrestling practice. And now, this is interesting. This is in the other versions I've read of this too. They're furious because Conan had a knife, and you weren't supposed to use weapons, and that's illegal. That's not allowed. They might have even done this in the Tarzan series. I honestly don't remember. So here's the big Jack Kirby looking bad guy. And a lot of the dialogue is very Jack Kirby-esque. It's not, I think this is an adaptation in art and art only, not in terms of dialogue. I don't even know if they went and got the same names. Not that it matters. It's the story that matters. So this guy breaks free. He's had it, right? He leads all his people on... Here's where they break out, right here at the end. He's like, we're going to die on our feet as men, not on our knees as slaves. And, sorry, this top page is bothering me. So he leads a prison revolt. They break out of their cells and attack the Barbarian ape men, whatever they are. And he and Conan, so they have these war machines that they talked about earlier that I neglected to mention to you guys. And he and Conan get behind one and push it towards the grandstand where all these elites are sitting. The Melnibone Hyperboreans, which is essentially who they are. They're basically the Elric's class. Elric Elric the albino, whatever you called him. Melnibonean? I don't know if that was their names. I know there's another name for him. Blood for the blood gods. Hail Ariok. And so here we get, you guys should read the Michael Moorcock Elric stuff. It's really the birth of Excalibur. If Excalibur were a black sword that could think and were alive. And here we get Conan and this big guy pushing the ram, and they drive it into the grandstand of the bad guys. But one of the bad guys, the one who had stolen Conan's helmet, and right after he finds it, so yeah, right after he picks up his helmet, down here at the bottom of this page, he smacks the red-headed dude in the back of the skull with a mallet or a mace. I have one of those right here. It's not very heavy though. It's a flanged mace. It's really kind of light. It needs cement poured into the handle. Anyhow, Conan, or lead, that'd be even better. So this guy's dead. Conan has his helmet back, and he digs the crown out of the rubble. And he says, this guy may have lived as a slave, but he died as a king. And that is the end. 19 pages by Barry Smith. We will do the other half tomorrow. This is king size, and I'm going to drag it out. I did get a bunch of new Conan books with my new pair of fallen shoes that I got today. This is the box for my new shoes, and I'm wearing them. And so here we have Trencher. And this guy sent all these Conan books with no bags or boards. Fucking joker, right? Cheap bitch. But there's like 40, I think. Maybe not 40. I don't know how many there are, but there's a lot. So we have some more Conan, a lot of King Conans. I didn't know they did this Conan Classic. We're going to look at those too. Check out some of the covers. They will look familiar. Night of the Grim Grey God, I think is what that one's called. I think it was number 3 or 4 in the first run. So we have these, and today's conflicted card. This is the 3 of spades. 3 of spades. You can barely read it. This is bad graphics. You can't see the 2. There's a 2 in back there, but the bottom is always damaged. Like, what's it called? Distressed. It's not a good effect. If we're learning things about Conan, what did we learn in this one? Other than the fact that Barry Smith is an artistic fucking god. Look at this. I think he probably colored this too. I didn't look up to see who colored it. All it says is Sal Buscema inker, and then a letterer down here at the bottom. Doesn't say who colored it. I don't know how they would have let Barry Smith color it if he did the pencils and then gave them off to be inked by Sal. Anyhow, number 3 is it's the end of the world, and your group is doing really, really, really well. 3 of spades. Everything is going right for you. Everything is perfect. Problem arises. A problem rears its ugly head. You have one blacksmith. Let's fucking watch. You have one blacksmith, and apparently you guys get drunk, and he admits that he was at one time convicted of child. They use the Chester word, the word that rhymes with Chester. I don't want to say it here because I do not want to get my channel in any kind of trouble. I don't even want to say the word. I just don't want to say it. It's like the word moist. I don't want to say this word. So this guy was not just arrested, not just accused, not just charged, convicted. What does that mean? Does it mean a little kid? Does it mean a girl who came on to him who was like 16? I don't know what it means. I don't want to know what it means. He's your only gunsmith / blacksmith. That guy needs 3 apprentices tomorrow. I don't know how. They should obviously be adults. And they should all be, he needs, I don't know what you do in that situation. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. But I guarantee you this card was written by a Jew. I wonder if this blacksmith is a Jew. I would hate to think that your only gunsmith / blacksmith is Jewish, but if he's of the tribe, then your answer is simple. He never should have gotten into your community in the first place. All right. Oh, I wanted to talk about what happened last night, and I'm going to right now. Last night, I heard someone I don't know very well on a live stream. Let me first talk about what I did the night before. I was watching a live stream the night before, and someone I respect, they were talking about this live stream 2 nights ago. They were talking about how is it possible that they completely memory hold the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. Multiple assassination attempts. No one talks about them. No one remembers them. It's like they didn't even happen. Let alone the fact that all the news trucks were there for the first one and they hadn't covered any of Trump's campaign stops at all. This campaign stop was not special. Why were they all there? They were all there because they were told to be there because they knew. Simple answer. Occam's razor. The simple answer is always right. Why is this memory hold so fast? Everyone was talking about it for minutes. And so I typed into the chat in capital letters with a space between each letter, J space E space W space S. And people laughed. And one of the guys read it, and he read it quietly, and then he laughed, and then he read it out loud. He goes, someone in the chat said, boom. Someone in the chat said Jews. And everyone laughed. And then they go, well, you're not supposed to read the chat. And one of the guys goes, the first thing homie over here told me when I started doing this was, don't pay any attention to the chat. They're going to say things. They're going to say things that you do not want to repeat. And so here's a case of we are moving the window. The mask is off. It's going to be okay to talk about this. A few years ago, I couldn't even have this channel. I'm going to check and make sure it's still recording. Good. All right, we're still going. So yeah, a few years ago, I couldn't have even had this channel. And I am a big fan of TRS. I've mentioned that I was vetted and in Patriot Front. I was in Vanguard first. I still have a great group of friends I play hockey with regularly. Some of my own family members won't talk to me. Not they won't talk to me. We just don't talk since the first Trump election. It's like 12 years ago, you guys. 8 years ago? Is it more? It feels like 12 years ago. 2016, 2015. Yeah, it's only 8 years ago. It feels like a long time ago. But this stuff was happening before then, and I, being an early adopter, being sensitive to the culture war. Now this guy should fucking know, and I think he does know. So I said that, and it was a big kerfuffle. They moved on. The next night, a guy got into a conversation with someone about whether it's better to be ruled over by Jews or Muslims. And he says, well, Muslims are physically violent and Jews just take your money, so I'd rather be ruled by Jews. That is such a cuckold statement. No one fucking rules me. I'm unvaccinated, you bitch. No one fucking rules me. I do not go along to get along. Y'all can suck a dick. This is a strange world, you guys. You have to be the hero of your own story. And, I almost forgot this. I want to go over this with you guys before we're done for today. This is my list. This is a list of like 10 or 12 authors you should know. You should be able to name one story by everyone on this list. First, I'm going to try and do it without looking at it. Edgar Rice Burroughs and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Can you name what they wrote? You should be able to. Hemingway, Cormac McCarthy. Who are my other favorites? Richard K. Morgan. And he's good. I don't know why I rolled the R on his name, but I do want to look at this list. Robert E. Howard. Cervantes. You guys probably haven't read that yet. Thomas Wolfe. You guys should know who he is. Just because you're writing and drawing comics does not mean you should not be reading novels. Everyone on this list never drew a thing. And several of them have characters that have been made into comics and movies. So think about that. Tolkien. What comic book writer is going to ever accomplish anything that compares to what John Ronald Reuel Tolkien did? Or Homer. He's not even on the list. The Bard. Shakespeare's not on this list. Terry Brooks made it. R.A. Salvatore made it. Homer and Shakespeare should be here. I think I've read off everyone else. You guys should know who these people are. You guys should do a lot more than just comics. You should look for more inspiration than Will Eisner and whoever else. I can't even... Chuck Dixon? Is Chuck Dixon a groundbreaking writer? Has comics ever seen a groundbreaking writer? The Secret Wars, the high watermark, as Shane was talking about yesterday, that plunged the entire industry into this trade paperback tail-chasing endeavor, which is a terrible idea. Trade paperbacks are not the way. Branding is the way. Creating something that's so magnificent that people seek you out and want to wear your images on their shirts. That's the way. What the guy did for Nightmare Before Elm Street, Tim Burton. Tim Burton's Batman, Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Elm Street. That's branding. That's a theme. That's a universe you can sink yourself into. Harry Potter, right? All these things, not done by comic book artists, are they? Batman, sure. You know, okay. Yeah. This other stuff, your branding can be done through comics, but if branding's not your focus, and if the theme of your story is not your focus, and you don't know what the theme of your story is, Spider-Man, you know, responsibility. Batman, defend the little guy. My Angel of Valkyrie thing, you know, do the right thing at any moment because it could be your last. And if you sacrifice yourself for a child, you become an angel. That's the story that I'm writing. But that applies throughout your life. Don't be a cuck for anything. Do the right thing all the time. Simple as. The simplest things are the hardest to do. All right, see you guys tomorrow.